Many people with chronic fatigue or long COVID eventually receive another diagnosis: POTS, Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome, or a mouthful. Their heart suddenly races, especially when they stand up. They feel dizzy, weak. Often they feel as if they might faint, and understandably, this can be very frightening. However, there's an important question that I think very few people are asking. Why does it happen? Why do so many people with fatigue illnesses develop POTS? The answer becomes clear when we look at how the body's regulation system works. First, let's briefly understand what POTS is. POTS stands for, as I said, Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. When a healthy person stands up, the body automatically adjusts. Blood vessels constrict slightly, heart rate increases just a little, blood pressure stabilizes. And all of this happens automatically through the body's amazing regulation system under the control of the hypothalamus. We don't have to think about it. The body regulates it for us. But in POTS, this regulation breaks down. When the person stands up, the heart rate rises dramatically, sometimes as much as 30 beats per minute or more. And this causes symptoms such as dizziness, palpitations are very common, weakness, fatigue, brain fog, and occasionally a sense of imminent doom, very unpleasant. POTS is therefore a disturbance in the body's ability to regulate circulation when posture changes. Now here is something important. POTS almost never appears alone. It commonly appears alongside chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, long COVID, and other things like MCAS, environmental sensitivities such as EMF, and a host of other fatigue-related conditions. Now, this pattern is not random. These conditions appear together because they arise from the same underlying disturbance in the body's regulation system. The body constantly regulates heart rate, blood pressure, temperature, hormones, digestion, and of course, energy production. This regulation is coordinated by a small but extremely important structure in the brain, the hypothalamus. You may have heard me mention it quite often. The hypothalamus acts as a central control system for the body. It receives signals from the body and adjusts multiple systems to maintain balance or homeostasis. Now, when the hypothalamus receives clear signals, the body regulates itself beautifully. But when the hypothalamus receives too many unresolved signals, the system becomes overloaded. And when that happens, the regulation of multiple body functions begins to drift out of balance. Now, this is where understanding emotion becomes important. The body communicates through emotion, whether that be anger, grief, lack of fulfillment, which I call body boredom. Emotion is not just a feeling. Emotion is in actual fact energy, sometimes known as energy in motion. When emotion arises, it activates energy in the body. That activation prepares the body to express or respond to the emotion, therefore appropriately to the situation that you're in. At the same time, the emotion communicates honestly how the energy of that situation is affecting us in any given moment. When emotional signals are recognized and expressed or responded to appropriately, the activation resolves naturally. The system returns to balance. But when emotional signals are suppressed, the activated stage does not resolve. The energy remains active in the body as it prepares for a response. The hypothalamus continues receiving signals that have not been completed. Over time, more and more unresolved signals accumulate. This places increasing pressure on the body's regulation system. Eventually, the system becomes overwhelmed. Now, when the body's regulation system becomes overwhelmed, multiple functions begin to misregulate. Energy regulation becomes unstable. Hormonal regulation becomes unstable. Circulation regulation becomes unstable. And this is what causes POTS symptoms to appear. When the person stands, the body no longer regulates circulation smoothly. The heart races, dizziness appears. The system is really struggling to stabilize itself. But recognize this, POTS is not the original problem. POTS is the body expressing a disturbance in its regulation system. It's a downstream effect. The body is trying to function within a system that has become overloaded. And this is why focusing only on the diagnosis and symptoms never solves the problem. Treating the racing heart or the apparent low circulating volume within the body with fluids does not resolve the underlying disturbance. The real question becomes, why did the body's regulation system become overwhelmed in the first place? When that question is addressed, the system begins to stabilize again. And when the body's regulation system settles, the downstream symptoms begin to resolve. This is the principle behind Mickel therapy. The body constantly communicates. Those signals are not random. They are attempts to restore balance. Now, when we understand the communication of the body and respond appropriately, the regulation system begins to settle. Energy returns, circulation stabilizes, and the body moves back towards health. In future videos, I'll explore some of the other conditions that commonly appear alongside fatigue illnesses. Conditions such as MCAS, EMF and other environmental sensitivities, mold-linked illnesses, and other forms of systemic dysregulation. When we look at the bigger picture, a very clear pattern emerges. These diagnoses are not separate diseases. They are different expressions of a body whose regulation system has become overwhelmed. If you found this helpful, You may also want to explore the other videos on this channel, please, where I explain more about body consciousness. Emotions as communication in the form of energy and changes within our physical body. And of course, recovery from fatigue conditions. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.